Hello and welcome to the forum. Every week, we take no more than 15 minutes to discuss the 3 highest conviction ideas surfaced across the Smartkarma network, cutting through the noise and helping you zero in on what truly matters most. The live forum and Q&A session are exclusively available to Smartkarma Plus subscribers. You can always revisit previous episodes on this YouTube channel. Without further ado, let's dive into this week's ideas.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to yet another Smartkarma forum. As a reminder, the forum is a high-impact weekly live webinar. It's exclusive for Smartkarma Plus subscribers. We use this opportunity to discuss some of the best and highest conviction ideas surfaced across the network. The forum is meant purely for informational purposes and does not constitute investment advice. It's the opinion of Smartkarma and not that of our insight providers. And lastly, we like to observe Chatham House rule. Please do not share what was presented at this forum on social media or any other public forum without prior permission from us. So every week, we use this opportunity to typically look at 3 ideas. We tend to cluster these around large caps, small caps, and important thematics. At the end of the week, we also take these ideas and convert them into video recordings, and the video recordings are available on our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube, you can search for Smartkarma Plus Weekly Forum and subscribe. The benefit is, in case you've missed the previous week's forum, you can sort of revisit it. You can also share it with your friends once it's up on YouTube. With that, I'm going to quickly take you through the contents of today's presentation. We will kick off with a small cap in Singapore called UMS Holding. This is a semiconductor manufacturing and services business. We will then look at a large cap gas utility business in China. And lastly, we will look at a really high quality structural growth company in Indonesia called Prodia. This is in the healthcare space. Just a reminder, you can ask questions at any time using the Q&A button on your Zoom application. We typically wait for about 30 seconds at the end of the presentation, but you can ask questions at any time. Okay, let's kick it off with UMS. As I mentioned earlier, this is a Singapore listed company. It is in the semiconductor manufacturing and services space. The market cap is just shy of $600 million US, which makes it a small cap. The stock did very well last year, reached around the $1.50 level and then corrected back down to about $1.10. It started to find a bit of a floor again, and we're going to look at it closely today. Okay, so what does UMS do? It provides equipment manufacturing and engineering services to semiconductor and related product OEMs. So it's very much in the semiconductor value chain. They had very good fourth quarter results. The profit was up significantly year on year. Going forward this year, they are doubling their capex, and they're doing that because they're optimistic on new orders. There are plenty of catalysts ahead. There is a steady growth of global semiconductor companies. They also have good exposure to the growing aerospace business. Now, of course, the risk with semiconductor linked companies always is that if the cycle turns, it will likely result in lower profit growth. Having said that, given the services side of the business is growing nicely, we think it's better positioned than a pure play manufacturer. So if we just peg the valuations back to historical average levels, then we're looking at between 20 to 40% upside. Today, as you're seeing on the right-hand side of my screen, I'm showing the Smartkarma platform. We can just quickly go and take a look at at the company. So this is UMS. This is what we call the company page or the entity page on our platform. You can see Douglas Kim wrote on it recently. This is the research piece that we are flagging here. While you're reading research on the platform, you will see contextual data on the right-hand side. If you want to dig deeper, you can click to view more data or view all data. Here, you can easily access historical financials, segment level information, growth, profitability, even sort of top shareholders and what they have been doing. So for instance, you can see here that Andy Leung, who's a significant holder, has actually been increasing his position in the company. So lots of valuable information easily gleaned through the platform like this. I'll move on to the next company, which is Kunlun Energy. Kunlun Energy is a $7.6 billion market cap stock. This is listed in the Hong Kong market. It's covered by Osbert Tang out of Shanghai. The stock trades about $15 million a day, very investable. It also offers a fairly robust yield, and from time to time, it pays special dividends as well. So we featured Kunlun last year ahead of a very, very unique special event where Kunlun paid out nearly half its market cap in cash as a special dividend, and then continued to rally further even after that because of fundamental strength in the business. So what's going on? So just a brief introduction. So Kunlun historically was in the oil and gas exploration space, but over time it has built a very attractive city gas distribution business. You know, gas is a very important part of the clean and green story and agenda for China in the next 5-year plan. So Kunlun buys gas from upstream players and then distributes it through its pipelines to end customers, right? Which is typically known as a city gas business. It has actually divested some of its legacy oil pipelines, and it still has a small upstream oil and gas exploration business. But by and large, going forward, the story of Kunlun is a story of gas distribution. So last year, profits grew nearly 43%. They were well ahead of peers like ENN and CR Gas. Some people were worried that margins for Kunlun might come off because gas prices went up faster than city gas prices. But Kunlun's margins contracted only 3.8%, which is very small relative to peers that had a 12 to 15% decline. What makes Kunlun very interesting is they have nearly 3.5 billion renminbi of net cash on the balance sheet. And if you compare that to a year ago, they used to have a gearing of 14% then. So they've improved their balance sheet significantly, which means that they will be utilizing this cash to do accretive acquisitions, which will bring more growth to the business. We think that they have a lot of growth already secured as well. They have 46 new projects that they're going to complete and launch over the next 2 years. So again, on the right-hand side, if we quickly take a look at Kunlun, this time I'll just search using its ticker, which is 135. You will notice that even the investor relations officers of these corporates are on our platform, and you can use the platform to quickly contact them if you have questions. You can see which analysts cover the stock, and you can easily see latest research on these companies as well. Now, what I would certainly recommend is that you go and read quite a bit about these companies on the platform to make up your mind on whether you like the name or not. And then also add these names to your watch list so that you receive regular updates. With that, I'll move on to the third and final idea today, which is Prodia. This has been an old favorite for us. We've presented it at our first or second ever forum. The stock has done extremely well. It more than doubled through the COVID period, and we still continue to like it a lot. And today we're going to take a look why. Before I go into it, just a few things. This is a $500 million market cap company, so it's a small cap. It is listed in Indonesia. Some of you have asked previously, how do you buy Indonesian stocks? Well, several brokers now, including guys like Philips Securities, offer that access. And it is one of the largest emerging markets in the world, and there's a lot going for it with a 300 million population. So we continue to feature some interesting ideas there. Okay, so a little bit about Prodia. So Prodia is the leading diagnostic lab company in Indonesia. What that means is anytime you need to go and do a blood test or a urine culture or any other kind of healthcare tests, you go to Prodia. They are the most dominant company with the highest market share and the only company to have international accreditation in the space. Now, 2021 was a very strong year for Prodia. They benefited a lot because of COVID testing, vaccination, but as COVID comes down, they are starting to see a pickup in its core testing business, which had been depressed due to lockdowns. They have a very, very good track record of the last 6 years. They have continued to grow EBITDA at a 34% CAGR. And that's great. The other great thing that happened during COVID was they generated a lot of cash, and that cash has now come to the balance sheet. The company is trading very cheap. It's only on about 6 times EV/EBITDA on this year's numbers. And if we compare it to similar peers in other markets, such as India, they trade almost 40 times EV/EBITDA. So huge runway of growth, great cash position. And this company also shares that with investors. So quickly going to Prodia on the platform. And actually today, the share price is at about 72.50. These are fairly interesting levels here. And again, with this name, if we take a quick look at their track record, if we go to financials, I mean, you can see very consistent growth, which really accelerated through 2021. Now in 22, while growth rates might not be as high as 21, but this is very much a secular growth company. Look at how cash flows have continued to grow. So the red line there is free cash flow. Very, very strong generation. If we look at some of the profit ratios, I mean, this is if I look at margins for a second, this is a 60% gross margin business, 23% net margin, continues to grow as it scales up. The returns are very high. Despite it being a net cash company, this is a 31% ROE business. I mean, very, very hard to find dominant franchises with this sort of track record. And again, when we look at the shareholders, insiders own a significant amount of the company. So 57 plus 18. So a large chunk is still owned by insiders, but there are some really nice quality global investors that are starting to purchase the name. And these guys are going to buy and hold the stock for long periods of time, in our opinion. With that, I'm at the end of today's presentation. If there are any questions, now's the time to ask. We'll wait for about 10 seconds for questions. But if you don't have any questions today, that's fine as well. You can always go to the platform and post discussions, and analysts will respond to your questions directly. Okay, with that, I'm going to wrap up today's forum. Thank you very much for attending, and I hope to speak to you next week. Bye-bye.
That's it for this week. You can find more ideas like the ones we discussed today on demand on our YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification button. If you like these ideas, spread the word. Tell a fellow investor about Smartkarma Plus and follow us on social media. Just search for Smartkarma. And of course, don't forget to visit smartkarma.com for more independent, differentiated investment insights. Thanks for watching and see you next week.